Hello, Patriots. So, what I have for you is a section from Judy Byington's blog from yesterday, and the first part was the day before. And it's a history of the Great Awakening, starting, all the way back to when the Illuminati formed and everything, all the way up till today, and kind of what's going on right now. So it's really, really good. Gives you a really good background on everything, and I'm going to go ahead and read it. It's 11 parts, so it does take a while. It's about 30 to 40 minutes, but sit back and relax and learn about the Great Awakening. So here we go. Those who do not fully know the situation felt it or know that there was an evil part of humanity that kept us in the dark. They've been using all possible means for centuries. It really has been for thousands of years. This enemy, a secret satanic society called the Illuminati, has existed since the 17th century, and before that, it was the Roman Empire, an extension of which today is the Catholic Church. Today, many call it the deep state or cabal because they have bribed, threatened, killed, or usurped people, churches, and governments in order to maintain control over everyone on the planet. Of course, all people understand that this was done for the sake of power, money, and control over everyone and everything on the planet. So deep in history, deep, dark, long ago, these 13 bloodline families got in touch. Well, there's a lineage there going back to Adam and Eve and Cain. Cain is supposed to be the product of Lucifer and Eve. And that is where that particular evil bloodline started. And those 13 bloodline families come from that bloodline, and they keep their bloodlines and their families very tight. And they stay in constant contact probably with, evil demons and entities, and they use them to keep control of the earth and the power over people and money and everything else. And that's why they are the elite. That's how come they can keep that position and keep all that money, is because they use their sorcery taught to them probably by demonic entities. Long ago, sort of like secret knowledge, and that's where we get the secret societies. They have to keep this knowledge, which is sometimes called a cult. It means hidden, so that other people, if they don't get it, they don't, they want to, covet all of the power. So, in many published articles about the unbalanced financial statistics of the world, public articles say that the 1% controls 60% of the world's wealth. I have to enlighten everyone that 0.1% of the super rich control 99.9% of wealth, and most of it is hidden in tunnels and deep underground military bases, about 3, 5, and 10 kilometers under our feet, around the world. These places hidden from the world were used to hide their main crimes against humanity from the public eye, so that they could do their evil almost without seeing it. This was done in order to keep the ordinary population in ignorance. Please understand that this greatest war in history is a war completely different from the storming of the country's lands and its return. This is a war of information and penetration. This war is kept secret from the general population. They used behind-the-scenes deals, money, blackmail, threats, and murders to support the evil will, but good people all over the world took a firm stand. And God's will to free this planet from all evil was planned for millions of years. Darkness will turn into light, as God's will forever stand for humanity. For one of the greatest laws of God is to have freedom of choice. For most of humanity, we were told lies from all sources to keep us in slavery, and even made us think that we have freedom in many countries, but we didn't have it, even in America. For even our great Constitution was usurped in 1871 and turned into a corporation owned by the Vatican. Like all countries on the planet, two great documents have become truly precious: the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. Of course, God, or the Creator, the first Creator, sent His Son, Jesus or Yeshua, to prevent the earth from becoming too dark or evil and to help save it before the time of the Great Awakening. This time is now, and in the near future, the beginning of the great transition in the history of mankind. Understand the real story is that the Roman Empire was transformed into the Catholic Church because the leaders of the fading Roman Empire needed a way to maintain control and use the Council of Nicaea, the real Son of God, to use the name of Jesus and the history of the dark side to maintain control of the planet. Understand that people who do not have consciousness and still have a two-dimensional mind cannot think independently and need guidance. The conscious mind thinks for itself, explores, guides itself. The decisions taken at the Council of Nicaea in 321 AD were supposed to allow to betray Jesus and begin to worship him. They decided which chapters or books should be allowed in the Bible and which should not. This led to a totalitarian Catholic Church that decided most things in Europe at the time. Who was good and evil? Who was supposed to be the king or queen? Until by the 1500s, many groups separated from Protestant churches, as did many governments. To be continued. Okay, so part 2, the greatest war story ever told, World Awakening. The Catholic Church really ruled during the Dark Ages and committed many crimes against humanity, including leading a 199-year war with crusades for its truth about who is right. Muslims are Catholics about how they should worship the same God. It's the same in our time. Shame on the pedophile priest who still commits the same crimes, and most of them are not prosecuted. Many priests had children born to nuns who were killed at birth, and there are many graves around some churches. This is part of the unholy true agenda of the Catholic churches. In the highest layers of the hierarchy of the Catholic Church, they worshipped Satan. The Romans learned about this from a small group they conquered many years ago. It was in order to get power and money. They really worship Satan, plain and simple, if you do your own investigation. Let's go back in time to the American Revolution. The war was won by farmers against the English crown in 1776. Then the great founding fathers of America created two of the greatest documents for government in history. Everyone knows what they are, but the Crown of England was not going to release a large monetary income or land without further hostilities, hence the War of 1812. When they burned the White House in one of the greatest documents in history, people should wake up from the fact that the European elite and the monarchy were not going to let America go. The next step was penetration. Therefore, in 1871, President Grant transfers powers to the Illuminati, and the Republic of the United States becomes a corporation owned by the Vatican and governed by the Queen of England. See what BAR is, B-A-R. It means British Accreditation Register. It should tell you all about the maritime law and the American judicial system, independent of the Crown of England. Next comes the Federal Reserve System, which belongs to the Rothschilds, and it is not part of the American government at all. The federal government was bribed and usurped in 1913 to gain control of America's money by the Illuminati. The Titanic was sunk to destroy the opposition to the Fed. Consequently, the Rothschilds and the Illuminati controlled the printing of the U.S. currency, as well as how it was created and used. All wars, including the Civil War, were created by the Illuminati. It is said that one member of the Illuminati predicted 3 world wars. Albert Pike showed in 1871 that a world led by the Illuminati would have 3 world wars in the future. We really had 2. They made a big profit because their banking system supplied money to both sides. They got the desired results. They created great grief and harm in order to maintain control over the world's population. We can tell that the tragedy of 9/11, a false flag created by both Presidents Bush, the CIA, the Mossad of Israel, and the owners of the Twin Towers themselves. More than $6 trillion have been spent on fake terrorists who were hired to carry out tasks by the CIA and the Illuminati to go around the world and find a few people with bombs or weapons that could harm a few people. This war was to go on forever. That was their plan. So the Third World War that Albert Pike was talking about was supposed to be a fake alien invasion with real anti-gravity ships, with robotic gray aliens inside the ships, and special forces were really operating on the ships that controlled the ships. The powerful alliance has completely stopped this plan. Now we're on to part 3. So, get your coffee and just listen, I guess. Now we will talk about things that are difficult for many people to perceive. Human trafficking, pedophilia, and the production of adrenochrome, as well as where it all came from. There was a great evil on this planet, the sacrifice of children by the Catholic Church and satanic cults, as well as the murder of children for the sake of a chemical that prolongs their life called adrenochrome. Do you still think that these are stories from the internet, born from scratch? In that case, you're wrong. It is here that they get the maximum profit, and the sale of drugs on planet Earth and beyond is an adrenochrome. Adrenochrome is produced from the blood of a child, and the younger the child, the better. To get adrenochrome, children are electrocuted to increase the quality of adrenaline, and then they kill toddlers to extract blood with more stem cells. Blood with a high content of adrenaline and human stem cells will preserve the youth of the blood drinker. What is adrenochrome? From a scientific point of view, it is a chemical substance that is produced in the human body during the oxidation of adrenaline. How is the chemical extracted? The potential victim is terrorized, thereby increasing the amount of adrenaline flowing through his body. Then she's killed, and the adrenochrome is collected with a needle and syringe at the base of the back of the neck and spine. After collection, the chemical can be sold on the black market at exorbitant prices. Bring it to your consciousness. These are hidden, real events on this planet. This is pure evil. They really existed out of sight on the planet all this time. The powerful alliance stopped all this by September 2021. The rescue of children from deep underground military bases over the past 5 years, which were used to make adrenochrome, child sacrifice to the satanic cult of the Illuminati, and for sex was led by special forces of the alliance. Pedophilia is the norm for many criminals of the deep state, Hollywood celebrities, politicians around the world, and even many royal families. Epstein's Island is proof of this, although there are still many places and islands where this happened. Let's go back to the chronology of history. In the 1960s, President Kennedy was assassinated trying to dissolve the Federal Reserve System, and the deep state killed him for it. Control over money and the media is their main weapon. There are thick notebooks. The alliance has an exact scenario for the destruction of the cabal, but it has been in full swing since the fake 9/11 terrorist attack. During this time, a plan was developed. The alliance dates back to Howard Hughes and Nikola Tesla in the 1920s. The Q team was formed by John F. Kennedy in the 1960s. And after his assassination, 200 U.S. generals and admirals joined the alliance and began implementing a plan to destroy the cabal of the deep state. It has been in development for 6 decades, and the current plan was created and modified with the help of the military and using quantum computers for future timeline scenarios. The QAnon group of 200 loyal generals was concerned that Americans would be swept up in socialism. After September 11th, Group Q is plotting to win. No matter what the deep state does to counter it, understand with Operation Mockingbird in the 1950s, created by the CIA, the deep state controlled 90% of the mainstream media and major internet companies. Know that they have been slowly destroying the image, reputation, and heart of conservative Republicans in the fake news media. The mafia media of the deep state did the same with the QAnon group, which followed the drops, messages of Q published on 4chan or 8chan from October 2017 to December 2020. People need to understand that this was a way to circumvent fake news and to convey truthful information to the military and the public. President Trump was the first to announce fake news to the public, which is just one of his main achievements. Wow, she's got part 4 and part 5. Part 6. Okay. Oh boy. Goes all the way to 11. All right, part 4. Trump's election in 2016 was a big victory for the good side. Trump's loyalty to the real people of the United States has dealt a serious blow to the deep state. Hillary should have won. When the Dominion computer was launched, the deep state believed that if 20% of the votes switched to Hillary, she would win the election. They just didn't understand how to wake up the American people to the same old shite that Hillary was offering. I've never seen so much dirt in an election, and Hillary paid for it. The American people were finally able to see through it. Military action was necessary to cut off the snake's head as soon as possible, which happened even before Trump's inauguration, when 13 selected Illuminati families were destroyed. Let me tell you about the first major measures taken by the alliance. And these were multiple raids conducted simultaneously on December 24th, 2016. Understand, President Trump was first elected on November 8th. Trump met with military generals and admirals on November 9th, 2016, to discuss the liquidation of the 13 largest families of the world's most powerful mafia, called the Illuminati. Know that President Trump was chosen by our great military, and Admiral Rogers met with him in 2014 to convince him to run. Since Admiral Rogers was the head of the NSA, he knew that Trump was clean and without corruption. Let's go back to the first raid, which determined the direction of the planet, to light or darkness. All members of these families lived in Venice, Italy. Why it was the perfect time to destroy the best families. It was the last day of the 3-day satanic festival, and the alliance knew that they would all be at home. The military knew that the culmination of the ritual was the sacrifice of a child, and then the criminals were vulnerable. The alliance has assembled the best special operations teams, Delta forces, and Navy SEALs. All the leading criminal clans were to be liquidated that night, and no operation could fail. The fate of the whole world depended on these operations that night. All operations were successful in a miraculous way. Many thanks to the military who participated in this wonderful operation. I hope that they will be honored and the world will eventually see a film about this most important part of human history. You should also learn about the evil underground shelters for Illuminati operations. Worldwide, there are more than 3,500 deep underground military bases with 10,000 miles of maglev trains in tunnels built by the Illuminati, connecting most of the major DOMs for the trafficking of children, people, drugs, and the production of adrenochrome. The mighty alliance has been destroying tunnels and dams really since the 1980s, but the real push has been given since President Trump first took office. Gene Decode, blogger, decoder of encoded intelligence, for many years informed all of us about the progress of the destruction of tunnels and dams around the world by the nature of the earthquakes that occurred at a depth of about 3, 5, and 10 kilometers. Around the world, his transcripts were perfect to keep up with the secret war with the Illuminati. What is the proof? Well, an ordinary earthquake has P and S waves in the signal. A tactical nuclear bomb used to blow up tunnels wouldn't do that. The bomb blast has only one wave, so you can notice the difference. That's true. When they're exactly at these depths, it's clearly not a fake. In addition, we would get earthquakes at negative depth, which means that the explosions occurred in the Earth's atmosphere. These were disguised anti-gravity Illuminati ships that were destroyed by Alliance weapons as soon as they tried to escape. Recently, geysers with salt water started working in the center of Greece because there used to be a maglev railway tunnel destroyed by the Alliance forces. So I learned a long time ago from Gene Decode how to follow where the explosions of the tunnels were taking place, because I have a geology background, and so as most earthquakes are very, very deep, and they do have a primary and a secondary wave, and so these don't. These are, these explosions do not have that. And so you could follow along where the tunnels were and everything, and you can still do that. And I have noticed recently, when I look at I have an earthquake app, that there's a lot of, in certain areas, you'll see a lot of negative numbers for depth, which means they're air quakes. That means they're like escaping ships exploding. They're being targeted. Okay, moving on. Let me take some coffee. Hold on. Part 5, the greatest war story ever told. At some point during the dismantling of tunnels and dams, the Alliance lost about 200 commandos in an underground tunnel near Iceland. They thought that the agents of the deep state were going to surrender, but as soon as the Alliance forces got there, they detonated bombs. And everyone who was there, including themselves, we need to pay tribute to their great sacrifice. The real reason for the Notre Dame fire was to stop the child sacrifices that were supposed to happen over the Easter weekend. The Alliance warned the people inside to take valuables out of it, and 5 days before Easter Sunday, the Alliance hit it with direct energy weapons, laser weapons, from a space satellite or a U.S. Air Force TR-3B anti-gravity ship. This happened on April 15, 2019, and was a major victory in a secret war with the Illuminati. It was a warning to the Vatican to stop all child sacrifices. Later, I found out that about 600 children were planned to be sacrificed that weekend to try to resurrect Lucifer himself in the body. Don't you think this could happen in reality? Ask yourself again and explore the question. Well, I believe that this could happen. I know demons exist. I have had too much experience. This is a story for another time. As a child growing up, I was haunted by something. And you could literally feel evil coming off of it, literally feel it in the air. So I know demons exist. Okay, moving on. The greatest war story ever told, part 6. Biden did not win the election in 2020. It was a major fraud that Trump and the Alliance allowed it to happen, not only to arrest people who had been doing this for decades, but also to never let it happen again. This should be revealed to the American people and the world because it has been going on for hundreds of years in every country. President Trump actually won with 80.4% of the real votes, also tracked by QVS, quantum voting system. This will soon become known in the near future, and President Trump will take office again and in a solemn atmosphere as soon as the EBS is activated. We know that Biden has indeed just sworn in the old American corporations that Ulysses S. Grant allowed the Illuminati to create in 1871. The original Constitution was changed by these traitors. Currently, the fake corporations has gone bankrupt and ceased to exist. Many patriots do not know this. The fake Biden is president of absolutely nothing but 10 square miles of the District of Columbia, which is not really part of America. About 80% of members of Congress were arrested and charged, as were all members of the Supreme Court. The military determined that the two organizations, Congress and the Supreme Court, that allowed Biden to take office without due process of law were hijacked organizations. And, looking back when that the female Supreme Court was, she was appointed, I can't remember her name now. It's too early in the morning. But I do remember Jesse Savoda talking about seeing her. She was part of the Illuminati. She was what's called a white witch. And don't let that fool you. She wasn't good. She was just someone who healed some of the children after they were tortured. Still part of the evil. And another clue is when they have adopted children from Haiti. Something about Haiti. If you're connected to Haiti like that, there's something up. So I did not trust the Supreme Court at that point. Okay, let me move on. The deep state threatens tactical nuclear weapons in the form of 6 suitcases if Biden is not allowed to take office. The alliance did not allow Biden to have a nuclear football, a suitcase for controlling nuclear weapons, and any access to the Pentagon or the intelligence data of the NSA or the Department of Defense. And just as a side note, Romana Didula from Canada, once in a while on her Telegram feed, she will post things, information, really good information. I don't know if it's true or not, but if you believe that she's for real, then it might be true. And she said that the Pentagon had been moved to Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. Not the building, but the organization. So that makes me think the Pentagon is going to be targeted as one of those satanic buildings that will be destroyed. There must be lots and lots of tunnels under the Pentagon. I know there are lots of tunnels. I know in Crystal City, which is just south of Arlington, there are tunnels underneath there for sure because they use them to walk back and forth between buildings and stuff. So this stuff is for real. In early September 2021, Gene Code reports that the alliance controls the cabal's tactical nuclear weapons. On September 21st, the Ministry of Defense reports that it discovered and neutralized 11 nuclear warheads of the cabal, which they used as leverage to prevent their arrests. It's over for the rats of the deep state. Do justice and arrest them. Let the special forces descend on these bastards. Understand, in our Constitution, there's a way to make sure that the change of the so-called newly elected president is legal and lawful. The military had to seize power in the country, and by March 6, 2021, it was established that there were massive voter fraud, and the Ministry of Defense reinstated President Trump as Commander-in-Chief on March 11, 2021. The Illuminati are behind the American seizure of power, and the CCP is infiltrating our government and seizing power. This has been in their plans for decades because the U.S. military is aware that the Illuminati are financing both sides of the war in order to benefit and cause enormous suffering to the population. The U.S. military is no longer playing these games. In the period from January to February 2021, the CPC allegedly had troops on the Canadian and Mexican border that were supposed to move to America after Biden took office, numbering from 250,000 to 300,000 troops. The CCP bought real estate in Oklahoma to deploy troops there. The alliance fulfilled its threat to the deep state to destroy them. When the CCP troops passed through underground tunnels into New York State and, as we think, to Pennsylvania, from the intelligence received, the first 25,000 Chinese soldiers were destroyed in an underground dump. I remember that. It was like on the border of Canada and the United States, by an F-16 bomber that dropped a bomb to destroy bunkers. This would explain why Oklahoma, from the very beginning, when I was listening to Gene Decode 2-3 years ago, maybe more, and he talked about how you could see, the depths of the earthquakes to know where they were blowing up tunnels and things. All around Oklahoma City, in Oklahoma, there's always been activity there. With that depth of 3, 5, or 10 kilometers. And, it just never stops. It's interesting. I don't know what, but I remember it was going on way a long time ago too, because I had family that had lived in that area, and, so it just kind of caught my eye. And I bet it had something to do with the real estate that the CCP had bought and the troops and everything. The F-16 was hit by counterstrikes and after release flew over Michigan, where the pilot ejected to safety somewhere in upper Michigan. Dam, which housed 50,000 soldiers, was a deeper tunnel, and the Alliance military used God rods launched from a satellite representing shells in the form of a tungsten steel telephone pole that can penetrate to a depth of up to 10 kilometers without using any explosive devices. The impact is enough to destroy at great depth. According to sources, the Alliance forces took care of the Chinese troops on the border of Mexico and Canada many months ago. The destruction of these underground dams has been confirmed by several military sources. Part 8. The exact time of the Battle of the Taiwanese and American troops with the CPC in mainland China is not known. But according to information received from a source from the government of Taiwan, it was in early February 2021. We know that an American carrier group was operating in the South China Sea, and an air-to-air battle really took place. And on that day, the Red Air Forces of China suffered many losses. We know that 3 U.S. Navy carrier groups, about 100 ships, were off the western Pacific coast, and 2 U.S. Navy carrier groups off the eastern Atlantic coast at some point in time to protect our borders. The Alliance forces had clearly destroyed tunnels and dams under mainland China months before. The information is taken from reports and updates on so-called earthquakes that occurred at a depth of 10 kilometers. And Gene Decode knows that the destruction of underground evil shelters took place during decades of major criminal activity by deep state operatives. The leader of the Alliance of Canada, Romana Didulo, confirmed that the CPC is kaput, as she says. That was 2 months ago. She also stated on 9/22/2021 that if you report that there are Chinese troops in Canada now, you will be arrested so that you go there, which she calls a SPA. And a SPA equals military firing squad hanging. To be continued. Part 9. The container ship Ever Given, stuck in the Suez Canal in March 2021, was a major victory for the Alliance. The powerful Alliance stopped many things on the way to their destination, including weapons of mass destruction, nuclear and biological weapons, adrenochrome aborted fetal tissue of infants for use in vaccines, and live babies in ship containers. All containers were searched on the ship by Alliance Special Forces. The Evergreen ship stuck in the Suez Canal is stuck there to uncover many things, including child trafficking. More than 1,245 children were rescued in containers on this ship. About 1,200 children were also found dead in the containers. This is the Illuminati's worldwide human trafficking system. The navigator of the ship was a member of the Alliance, and the holes in the Microsoft software allowed the special forces to hack the ship's software, take control, and run it aground. He also transported weapons of mass destruction. Many other ships that were blocked were carrying weapons to start a war in the Middle East. The weapons had to be handed over to Muslims by the Israeli Mossad. The plan is to reveal everything in the news. The deep state is losing $400 million an hour due to stuck ships. Have you heard? With this and 10 days of truth on TV, as soon as EBS is activated, everyone will know about child trafficking and crimes against humanity, evil and real. The Alliance's special forces were used to search for and prevent any deep state cargo, as the Clintons were co-owners of the Evergreen shipping lines. From about April to September 2021, Myanmar and Afghanistan are now under the control of the Alliance. They burned the entire poppy field there, which was the main source not only of the illegal drug trade. Gene Decode also revealed a 50% content of all big pharma drugs using opium and oil derivatives in their tablets. How sick are these rats of the deep state? Afghanistan is currently the first country in the world free of the deep state. The reason why America had to leave Afghanistan was to comply with Nassar laws prohibiting the presence of foreign troops on the territory of someone's country. Remember, the peace agreement is all over the world. So that's a good clue. If you see a country that usually has lots of troops and, wars going on, but you see suddenly it clears out, that could be because they're getting ready for Jassara. Because under Jassara, you cannot have troops and be involved in a war. Okay, we're getting to the end here. So the last major push for the Illuminati was to create a fake COVID-19 crisis and vaccinate everyone with the aim of reducing the world population to 500 million worldwide for their final control push. It will tear them to pieces. EBS will tell you everything about COVID-19. Many doctors, nurses, and real researchers have a lot of information on the internet in the form of articles or videos. Simply put, COVID-19 is a bacterium, and it can be easily cured with ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. In addition, vaccines are a poison with a lot of harmful chemicals inside. They slowly kill you. The more injections you get, the closer you are to death. Be aware that medical professionals promoting this experimental chemical mixture, which is not a vaccine, will be prosecuted in the international judicial system, Nuremberg 2.0, in the future. Understand the patient needs to be informed that any medication or injection is experimental. Otherwise, the caregiver may be charged with this crime and he will be held accountable. Understand, arrests have been going on for the last 5 years, and military tribunals are continuing all over the world. By September 2021, 2.7 million cabal members had been executed. Wow. With regard to the security of money and everyone's personal finances, there will be a complete takeover of the planet's finances. This is QFS, a quantum financial system that cannot be hacked. Everyone in the world will have an account in this system to reset GCR, global currency reset, and RV, currency revaluation, will be reset. Countries that have been completely unfairly devalued, such as Iraq, Vietnam, and Zimbabwe. More countries will be involved, but these are just examples. Okay, this is the final section. What awaits us in the near future? EBS will be included in the coming months. None of us knows the exact date. From this moment, the final destruction of the deep state rats around the world will begin. That's why Lynn Wood announced that everyone should stock up on food for 3 to 4 weeks for their family. The Alliance will use the weapons of the space forces to completely cut off electricity, cell phones, and the internet. In large cities, Alliance forces will use a complete shutdown, perhaps even for 2 weeks, to get rid of them and capture them, or to stay in the shadows and track them inside the military quarantine zone to their hideouts. The Alliance already knows who they are. Understand that in most areas with a very small number of cabal members, for example, in rural areas or small towns, there will probably be no interruptions in services. Gene Decode used Melbourne, Australia as a city with a strong power of the deep state. Expect tougher ways to corner these rats on these strengths. In America, we know Chicago, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Seattle, Portland, and New York as possible strongholds. The Alliance will be there to impose martial law around the world and surround the rats of the deep state, as Romana Didulo says. Unmarked planes without the flag of the country are our allied forces. For the new Earth, humanitarians will pave the way to restore the planet with the help of technologies that have been hidden, stop hunger, poverty, so that no one is left homeless, and so that children will never suffer again. Hallelujah. We will do it with 0-point energy, a way to get free energy, hydrogen or electricity, food replicators, anti-gravity technology, and medical beds are sky capsules to heal all human diseases. No one will be left out on the planet, and everyone will share the wealth and abundance of this great planet. The first major transition of the planet will occur in the next 3 to 6 weeks, obtained from various sources, but the exact time is unknown. We know that this is an important transition period for humanity. In the statement of the first creator of crimes against humanity and children, there is the phrase, "Enough is enough." For God will always prevail over darkness, because the greatest war in history on planet Earth is the victory of light over darkness. EBS will reveal the crimes of the deep state against humanity. Humanity will weep. This is the Great Awakening. But with this information, we will understand that humanity has reached the next stage of evolution in order to become closer to God and to learn the truth about what happened, to learn more about hidden technologies and the truth about the galaxy and other worlds. For humanity is the beginning, a big step towards what is really real and true. For in this way, God will illuminate humanity with light and allow the truth to be told. The war against darkness has been won. May freedom reign throughout the cosmos, and may the light of God shine for everyone. God bless you. Hello, Patriots. I just wanted to say thank you to all of those who've been supporting my channel. I really do appreciate it. I couldn't do it without you. And I have a new payment platform called Stripe if you are interested in supporting the channel with a donation. And thank you again, and I'll see you on the next video.